Oh, Hilton stay, your beds are soft and cozy. No lumpy couch, no stiff futon, no shower line at crack of dawn. Oh, Hilton stay, a holiday you're saving.
When you want holiday comfort you can count on, it matters where you stay. This season, enjoy spacious, comfortable rooms and friendly service when you book with Hilton instead. Hilton for the stay.
This episode is brought to you by McAfee.
Finish your fantasy lineup?
No, but I'm joining this paid group chat with insider info.
Dude, seriously? Forward it to me. Security alert from McAfee. That group's as legit as that knockoff jersey you're wearing.
McAfee's scam detector is available in all McAfee plans for as little as $39.99 for your first year. Learn more at McAfee.com/online protection.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. You're ready to move your business forward, but first, you need to find the right team. Start your search with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. It can help you reach qualified candidates fast, ensuring your listing is the first one they see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs are 90% more likely to report a hire than non-sponsored jobs. See the results for yourself. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Mariah Carey performing, Lindsey Vonn winning, NHL hockey stars coming or going, and Team GB sending their biggest figure skating team since 1988. These Winter Olympic Games in Milano Cortina are already promising to be one of the very best. I'm Michael.
And I'm John, and this is Anything But Footy, the podcast talking the games all the time, not once every 4 years. So as we head into another Olympic year, what better way to celebrate the festivities than catching up with our fellow Olympic podcasters from across the pond that always do such a great job.
I am Jill Jarris, co-host of Keep the Flame Alive, the American version of Anything But Footy.
And I am Jill's co-host, Alison Brown. It's the best time of the year when we get to visit with you.
What, you mean pre-Olympic year?
That too.
They come around really quick, these Olympic years, don't they?
Especially that summer to winter swap is quick.
Yeah. I thought the one between Tokyo and Beijing was quick, but this one feels even quicker between Paris and Milan. And weirdly, having been in Milan already, which we'll probably discuss as we go on, it feels quite similar to Paris. There seems to be lots of ideas that Milan are taking from Paris, including getting some 90s has-been to perform at the opening ceremony.
Ouch. Wow. Let's just wipe out the entire segment of certain aged female singers at once.
We bumped into each other in Paris, so we did get to meet in person. But we are now, all of us, I think, really looking forward to the Winter Games. What's it like stateside? How's the build-up? How's the anticipation for it?
What seemed to turn the corner that I saw in the press was Lindsey Vonn winning the World Cup race over the weekend. Somehow that seemed to turn all the American press on to the fact that we're having a Winter Olympics in 50 whatever days. Before that, it was very quiet.
And also the development of the hockey arena not be done, because the NHL being involved is pretty big deal for us and a lot of countries, and everyone just now getting hip to the fact that the construction's, well, it's probably going to be done. It won't be finished. What will we have in this new arena? That will be interesting.
Now, John, you saw it in the fall.
Yeah. So I spoke to a few Italians while I was there, as you can imagine, in Milan, and I was like, well, what is going on with this arena? Because it's as you say, it's a brand new arena. The ice skating is happening in Milan as well, so the figure skating. But then there's this whole arena just for the hockey, for the NHL, as you say. And they were like, hey, it'll be ready. It'll be ready. Just don't worry about it. And every time you push it, and I think even the organisers have said, we don't have a backup plan. This is it. This is what they have to get ready. And as you say, there was a December test event that they put through to January. January is the month before the Olympics starts, as you say, in about 50 odd days. But this is how Italians are. This is how very much some European countries are. That just chill, just relax. It'll be fine. It's ice cool. It'll be all great. Now, whether you believe them or not is entirely up to you. And that's what one of the questions we wanted to ask you guys was, what is the feeling over there? Because as you say, it's the first time the NHL are here. What, since Sochi?
Yeah, it was Sochi was the last time, and the pundits here among the hockey people have a lot to say about it, and none of it is good. Though they did come out with a joint statement, the NHL and the International Hockey Federation, saying we're going to be fine, we're going to play, and the arena is going to be done. But it'll be interesting to see what that actually means. And we joke about how, the ice may be done, but I can tell you right now, the press room is not going to be done. So we'll be sitting on benches and scaffolding and hoping for the best.
And what about this story that the players won't come if they feel the ice is unsafe? Are you confident then, like you said there, that the ice will be safe and be ready?
I think so. But man, if they don't come, that'll be the story of the games, won't it?
I think that mindset may be helped by the massive amounts of sports talk media that are out there that can fan these flames. I mean, the NHL was at Torino. The ice hockey arena got done. It wasn't finished, but it got done. And I think that's the thing when you say, "Oh, chill, it'll be fine, it'll be worried. Don't worry about it." I think that's when we get sloppy because they wake up and go, "Oh, we have to get this done." But done doesn't mean finished, so it's not going to be necessarily what they're used to. Maybe it's going to be like an old stadium that's got to get renovated, and you think, "Oh, but this is supposed to be a new shiny new stadium." It's just not done. And I think they'll have ice. That'll be a priority. But I think the hospitality room will probably get done, and they'll have seats. I think the concessions kind of stuff is going to be horrible. I would assume that backstage is going to be not so great either. But I haven't really dug in to see what the reactions were from Torino, but I'm sure the players are not going to notice maybe as much as the media will.
On Milan, and I mentioned it slightly earlier about how maybe it's looking at the playbook from Paris and using that as some kind of way of running the games. Actually, when you think we're all in Paris, as Michael said, we all caught up, but actually behind the scenes, it wasn't very good, and lots of people have said to us it was really shiny for the viewers and for the pictures, but actually behind the scenes and for the athletes, it wasn't that good. And so what you're saying, actually, for the media, it might be tough, for the spectators, it might be tough, but on the screens and for the players, actually, this ice is going to work and it's going to be a great tournament and no one will be talking about it in 2 years' time.
I'll be talking about that in the Paris Media Center in 2 years' time.
Yeah.
And I think we heard, and John mentioned it as well, that for the athletes as well, which ultimately I guess is the most important thing about any games, is the athletes, is that actually they were experiencing issues. I think food was a massive thing in Paris, wasn't it? And transport, again, I think was a bit of an issue. And I mean, I've been talking today to UK Sport, who are like the government agency that fund elite sport in this country, and they're looking at the transport logistics of Milan and Cortina and a kind of a 6-hour travel time between venues, and actually just like it's going to be a really difficult logistical machine to just get people around, and that's athletes, coaches, support staff, and everything else.
From the organizational side, from the Milano Cortina organizing committee side, it makes sense to use the venues that they use regularly. The fact that they're spread out, okay, well, whatever, that works for us. When you're talking about national Olympic committees or national Paralympic committees who suddenly have to stretch themselves across the entire northern part of Italy, they don't have a ton of money either. So you are suddenly saying, athletes, you don't matter. We can't get you the support you need. And that message, I think, is not great for not to mention that transportation is just going to be a nightmare. I think I don't know. I keep hoping that it's going to work out, but I think for athletes who are maybe in a region where you don't have, when you're hoping to have support and you can't get it because your National Olympic Committee is like, well, sorry, we have 10 athletes competing on the same day and we don't have the money to send enough people for them to help everyone at every different venue.
And that's what US is telling us. You obviously have a much smaller winter team.
I think once the athletes start being affected, as Michael said, I think is a huge concern. And we only got told that our Team GB swimmers were really struggling in that first week in Paris, 6 months after the games. They weren't saying anything at the time. Everything's shiny, everything's fine, and everything's well. And they're never going to tell you that it's bloody awful. I think it's interesting that the Winter Olympics, this is the first one that across 2 cities or across 2 regions. I mean, there's a huge mountain range between Cortina and Milan. You're talking 5 or 6 hours to get between the two. So from a journalistic point of view, you pick one. And you plonk yourself there. And yes, there may be the odd opportunity for where for one day you might be able to go up and see maybe the men's downhill, which is not the other side of the mountain range. It's further north from Milan, but it is incredibly spread out. But this goes back to, and look, we may well have had this conversation in the podcast we did before Paris. This is cost. This is how much it is costing. These cities, these countries, these people don't want to put on a shiny, brand new event in Milan for all of the Winter Games, or in Cortina, where I think it was 1968, wasn't it, or something, when they last had it. They didn't want to build more things there. They just want to put on the games as best they can. And as long as it looks all right on the telly and on TikTok and on Insta, does it really matter for anybody apart from, I think it matters to the athletes, but does it matter? And that's the question that we have as Olympic fans, I think, moving forward, because this is why cross country or cyclocross may come into the Winter Olympics, because you've got to create these sports where there's more opportunity, but also more interest and more drive to keep Winter Olympics relevant. Because, you know, as you said at the start, some people didn't even know this is happening. I mean, I could walk down my street and nobody in this country would know the Winter Olympics are happening in February.
I get asked all the time, well, where is it? It's, you know, it's been in my calendar, it's been in our diaries for forever. But yeah, people say to me, where is it? And we're just in that situation at the minute now where we're getting some of the team announcements. So from a Team GB point of view, we had the figure skating team announced in the last week or so. And this is a really interesting thing, I think, from a British viewpoint, because for the first time in over 30 years, Great Britain has a genuine chance of winning a medal in figure skating. Now, I could walk down the street today and say to everyone, where's the next Winter Olympics? And no one would be able to tell me. But if I said, who won gold skating to Bolero in 1984, everyone would know Torvill and Dean. So from a British point of view, the fact that we've got Lewis Gibson and Lila Fear, who have won a medal at the World Championships, could win a gold medal at the Europeans, which are in the UK just before the Olympic Games, and they are a genuine chance of winning an Olympic medal. I think that's huge for them, huge for the sport, huge for winter sport in this country. But that actual team announcement where they named the 8 British skaters, which is the biggest team that Great Britain has taken for figure skating in a long time, isn't it, John? 88 barely made a ripple in the news. And you know, I think if Lila and Lewis were to win a medal, it will cut through in this country, because everyone will say it's the first one since Torvill and Dean. But it didn't have the level of coverage, that team announcement, that I think it should have had.
And GB has a decent number of medal prospects, it feels like, this time around.
Yeah, we said that before Beijing.
Okay, fair enough.
John and I have got a planner that, you know, if it all goes to plan, every other day we could be talking about something. It's not going to be the medal rush of like a Paris, a Rio, or a London. We know that, but what they're trying to do in this country is that they are trying to create medal opportunities across a diverse range of sports, and within that, a diverse range of disciplines within those sports as well. So certainly I think some of the like freestyle skiing and snowboarders, there's medal opportunities there. We know that in Beijing, the medals came down to the curling team. I think the team Moat, Bruce Moat, who's the skip, who won the medal in Beijing, but not the gold that the women won. I think they are a really good medal shout, but I'm not sure that the women's curling team this time around are in the same position going into these games as Eve Muirhead and her team were in Beijing. That Eve Muirhead thing, I think, just felt to me like the culmination of the story, the fairy tale. We were building to this point, and I remember speaking to them after they won the gold medal. I said, you had no right to win that gold medal. And they all looked at me and I thought, well, maybe I, stepped out of line a little bit there. But they understood what I meant, because they went down to like the penalty shootout, sudden death, didn't they, in getting through. But they got there. It was like the perfect final page to the Eve Muirhead story, which incidentally she's written and is a very good book. But
on the skeleton front and the sliding front, if we can beat the Germans, we'll have a chance. Matt Weston has had and Marcus Wyatt are in the top three from a men's skeleton point of view. We'd never won a men's skeleton medal before, despite having various female Olympic champions, of course. So I think there are lots of opportunities for Team GB, as Michael said, but it's got to go. And that's the beauty of the Winter Games, isn't it? It may just be the turn of the ice. It may be the slip on the snow. No one really knows. It's not like running on a track, which ultimately is the same for everybody. You could be early, you could be late, and you could be lucky, you could be unlucky. And Alison, I know you're a huge ice skating. I know both of you are huge ice skating fans and figure skating fans. Do you think Lila and Lewis have a chance? Because we all think they do.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And they have been getting the scores in the Grand Prix events this year. It's going to be interesting, the ice dance, because it could go the old-fashioned way, where it's if you didn't earn it, but they've earned it. They've been around. They've put in the time. So the big thing is will the French upend everything with Guillaume Cizeron with a new partner? And will the Italians, Guignard and Fabry, have that home ice advantage? But Fear and Gibson have two really good programs. There's questions about their levels, but it's two really good sellable programs, and they're a lot of fun to watch. So it's easy to cheer for them.
How easy is it to follow figure skating and like the recent Grand Prix final, for example, in Japan? How easy is that to follow in the media in the US? Because there was a time in this country when we had ice skating on the TV every weekend. Now, even the World Championships and the European Championships are tough to find.
The Grand Prix events have been on a main network every weekend that they've been on.
Wow.
So you don't get everything. It's not the stream, which you can find, but it's there, and it's not hard to come across if you want to watch.
I would argue differently.
Okay.
I mean, I have seen it. I have turned it on the TV and found like a recap version that's on for an hour or so. That's not going to show every skater. But obviously in the US, NBC wants the viewers to tune in. And so they work very hard to try to build interest in the sports. So they will have different sports on their network of channels. They'll have probably figure skating on Peacock, although I get Peacock, their streaming service, which, but I haven't looked for figure skating there. I have this year generally gone to YouTube to try to find programs later, because I don't have necessarily the time when the event is on to watch it. And it's really hard to find, and I'm sure that's because of music stuff. So if I know things and because we follow it a little bit more, I'm more in tune to it, and I'll listen to different podcasts about figure skating. But I have found that it's hard to find programs that I want to see after the fact.
We're from a broadcast point of view in this country, we're probably in the worst situation that we've been in a long time. I think in terms of, obviously, the BBC is the the main rights holder, the television broadcaster, and they just seem to have stepped back over the years from what you said, that storytelling aspect before the games. The big drive now in the UK is that the national governing bodies themselves are staging their own events. So that's what British Cycling are doing, that's what Aquatics GB are doing, and broadcasting it themselves on YouTube.
Is it that football is taken over everything? So if there's sports on TV, it's football.
Right. Yeah. Well, and our football too, and F1 Formula One has really taken hold here. Other kinds of auto racing, you might get some tennis, but basketball is in there, and so a lot of the sports networks who used to showcase more sports find it's easier to just have 4 people talking at a desk. And somebody has to do something spectacular in order for it to get on that recap show. Otherwise, they're going to sit and talk about American football.
Yeah, what formation they're playing.
Yeah.
Or it's just, it's so boring.
For days. And that's what, people want to tune in for. And we hear all the time, people just want to be super served their content. So we'll just keep showing the content they want to see versus they may not know they want to see this.
Exactly.
And it's really cool and they should watch.
I agree. I totally agree with that. And I think Michael mentioned it there, the BBC. I mean, obviously, we've got Discovery and Warner Brothers who own the rights across Europe now. So they're like the NBC now for the whole of Europe. They own everything. So so the BBC have only got a little bit. But they've also told the federations that they're not interested in results. It's like results don't really matter. And for me, I just don't understand how in a sport, if you're covering any sport, the result is the all-important thing, isn't it? It's the thing we all want to. It's the thing we watch. We want to know who wins or who loses. And for them to say, this is the head of BBC Sport, that the result isn't. It's not about results. It's like, if you can't tell a story on a result, he shouldn't even be in sport, in my frankly opinion. I find it absolutely flabbergasting, and I hope that NBC. You say that they are still telling the story because, of course, they spend all this money to buy the Olympic rights, that can continue for another 3 years to LA. Because if not, if football is just going to take over the whole world, you've got the World Cup there next year. I know your president's looking forward to it. I'm
sorry, that's our peace medal winning president.
Yes. Peace loving Mr. Trump is very much looking forward to it, but don't let it take over you. I couldn't believe it when he said that he might change American football because it's not football, and I just don't let it take over, because you'll have to come up with a podcast called Anything But Footy if not.
And we already own the website for that one.
When the holidays start to feel a bit repetitive, reach for a Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry and put your twist on tradition. A bold cranberry and winter spice flavor fusion, Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry is a refreshing way to shake things up this sipping season. And only for a limited time. Sprite. Obey your thirst.
This is Anything But Footy, the Olympic and Paralympic podcast, and a special festive edition with Keep the Flame Alive.
What about Team USA? I mean, my feeling is that Team USA are always super strong in winter sports. Is that going to be the case this time for our listeners in the UK, the Anything But Footy audience? Who should we be marking our cards about?
Lindsey Vonn winning a World Cup was incredible, and it just shows how much she's worked to come back, how well her surgeries worked to allow her to ski at that level. It was incredible to watch her go down and attack the slopes the way she did. So I think that has only boosted her confidence, and she loves the Cortina slopes. So she's going to be gunning for it. I think Michaela Schifrin will have more confidence after her surgery as the season progresses. And she had a really rough time in Beijing, but I'm sure that the Italian slopes are also more suited to her style. So I'm sure she'll go for that too. Cross country skier Jessie Diggins last season. So that's going to be big news for those who follow cross country. I mean, again, that's huge news to us, but we are in this space every day, so I don't know what regular people think, but that will get play.
And then women's hockey, you have USA, Canada, who, it seems like that's the gold medal. The really fun thing about women's hockey is that France and Japan and some of the other teams are really coming out to play. So I still think the gold medal game is going to be USA, Canada, but some of those earlier matches may go a little bit unexpectedly, which will be fun to watch.
And I will say, there's a USA Canada women's rivalry series every year, and USA swept the whole thing this time, which is that's generally unheard of, especially when they move up to Canada. So it'll be interesting to see how well Canada comes out playing in Milano. We've got a huge speed skating star, Jordan Stoltz. He could win 6 golds potentially.
Wow.
He's
I'm making
that good.
notes here, by
the way. Erin Jackson, who we've talked to before, she could repeat as gold. She's got a hamstring pull right now, so she hasn't been skating the last couple weeks, but she could repeat if she's healthy.
What sort of size team will USA have for the Olympics?
Couple hundred at least.
Wow.
I don't know why the number 265 sticks in my brain. That can be totally a made up number, but somehow maybe I heard that at the summit, the Team USA Media Summit that we went to in October. But yeah, it's a big team, as it always is. And now I'm wondering if they will once again be the largest, since we won't be seeing Russia.
Yeah.
Right. But at least Italy will have a huge contingent since they get quotas for everything.
They've got a really good chance with, as I think Alison mentioned it, some home nation opportunities as well. Just on the men's hockey, because we talked about that. I can't believe that the USA in men's hockey have only won it the same time as Great Britain. It's just once. I mean, come on. What are you talking? This is a game where they said, well, the ice is too small and it may be dangerous. We'll bring it back to the US. So I was like, well, I don't think you own Olympic hockey, not from what I can see.
Well, I think that came from because the main plan B for the sliding center, if that didn't get finished, was Lake Placid. So I'm wondering if they kind of had that in the back of their heads of plan B. But I mean, that's the fun thing about men's hockey to me, is that the NHL is so international, and you can have 8 of the 12 teams are completely NHL players. I could be wrong again about that, but it's so many teams can have such a shot at the medal, and you see the players really love playing for their country. I mean, we saw it at Four Country last year, where it got chippy. And I love a good chippy hockey game.
Because from our point of view, we look at it and go, "Oh, it must be like the basketball. You know, the superstars turn up and you win it." And of course, in men's basketball, you do tend to win. The USA win Olympic golds, but it really isn't like that. Even Canada have got a much better record, haven't they, than the USA in men's hockey?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think hockey is as exclusively American as basketball is. And even now, other teams are starting to make headway into that space to be competitive against the U.S. in basketball. But, U.S. is kind of in there with everybody else in the mix. I mean, that's the great thing about having NHL players, is that it brings up the level of so many countries versus having, Canada, who's going to always have a deep roster no matter what. And, you get the players playing at the pinnacle of sports who are at the pinnacle of their game as well, which normally you don't get.
You're going to leave the curling to us, though, yeah?
Well, we've got a new curling team going this year on the men's side. For the first time since Torino, John Schuster will not be at the Olympics. And that's pretty amazing. So, I mean, it's kind of, I don't know if it's necessarily a changing of the guard, because I don't know, maybe John Schuster will come back. It'll be interesting for us to see a team who kind of scraped into the qualification. They had to go to the final qualifying tournament, and they came out by the skin of their teeth, I think. getting in there. So it'll be interesting to see how we fare in curling. And wheelchair curling, different story.
Curling. I was going to say that the mixed pair in curling is also a great shot for the Italians to repeat as gold medalists. So that'll be a fun tournament. So here's what I wanted to ask you about curling, and this came up earlier when we had a curling show. What happens if a poor Welsh kid really wants to curl?
Well, I don't know.
Do they just have to move to Scotland? Do they?
They don't know what the sport is, to be fair. But
there is a possibility that we might have at the Paralympics some English curlers this time around. So
breaking developments here. You've got breaking news.
That team hasn't been officially announced as we record. It is due to be announced shortly. But we were told that there may well be English curlers. Now, the issue is obviously that the curling centre of excellence in the UK is in Scotland. It's in Stirling, and essentially, I think you need to go and relocate to Stirling to get yourself on the programme. What it does do, curling in this country, is really capture the public imagination. And it's one of those things about, again, going back to that conversation we had before, I wonder why we don't see a bit more curling. We've just had a European Championships where both the men and the women won medals. And, I think, again, that was quite hard to find. And I think to myself, here we are, a few weeks out from the Winter Olympics, when we're going to be expecting people to get behind these curlers. And history's told us the public in this country will get behind the curlers, and we will become experts, and we will all know the intricacies of the draw shot challenge and everything else. Why we didn't see a bit more coverage of the fact that the men and the women both won European medals. So in answer to your question, if you're growing up in the valleys of Wales and you want to be a curler, I think there's limited opportunities for you. But we had this discussion on the podcast recently, John. There is more opportunities to get on the ice in this country now. Rinks have made a bit of a comeback, should we say, and certainly this time of year now, the kind of festive city centre ice skating. I think we nicked it from the Rockefeller Centre, but we finally got it in the UK now. That they're in all the cities, these Christmas markets now up and down the country. So my daughters went the other week. They loved their opportunity to get on the ice. So I think it's an improving situation.
Can I ask a question? Because as you guys are Olympic aficionados, how much of a difference will it be with the president being a female in Kirsty Coventry staging these games? And what have you made so far of her presidential reign?
I like where she's going. I think it is definitely different than Chibok, which is what you want, which was the point. I don't know if it's necessarily that she's a woman or that she's of a generation younger. I think that's more the difference. And obviously that she had such a long athletic career and saw several different eras of Olympic sport. I don't know if we're going to see it much in Milan other than her kind of being around, and that will be different because she hasn't had that much time. I think we'll see it more when we get to LA and then French Alps.
Yeah, I think her being an athlete really helps, an athlete across multiple games. She is more in tune with women's rights in a way that suddenly the e-games are no more, because that was a deal with Saudi. And I wonder if that had anything to do with not only IOC leadership being female, but Kirsty Coventry. It'll be interesting to see how she leads. I do think, like Alison said, being of a different generation will help. I think being younger will help. But I think as we watch this unfold, it will be a different kind of IOC when we look at the end of her first term.
Because the Russians are going to be back for LA, aren't they?
It's looking that way now. It's looking like they're getting beat down.
Mainly because she's already said with Dakar for the Youth Olympics, they want them back. She was pretty clear about that last week, and she'd already hinted at that anyway when she took over. And then of course you got Donald Trump as well. I assume, will want his mate, Mr. Putin, there, the way that's going as well. So how does she deal with Donald Trump as well? I mean, you've seen him with Infantino. I mean, he's like his little puppy. But how does she, as a woman, deal with Donald Trump? Or does she leave it to somebody else? Or does she just go with the organizers? How is this going to pan out?
I think she's actually a perfect person to deal with Donald Trump because she has that. She is a strong woman, but she is not overly, at least in public, that kind of aggressive, nasty woman that he likes to talk about, which is such words I can't say because we're a clean show.
Absolutely.
But she has that T-Bach diplomacy and kind of that elegance that I think will work well, that she will get what she needs out of I think she's going to play him, to be perfectly honest, and get what she needs.
And I'm not sure how much she will deal with him. She may do courtesy visits now and again, but I don't necessarily see her cozying up to Trump the way FIFA has. And that there's backroom deals involved somewhere with FIFA. But maybe Kirsty Coventry's like, okay, LA 2028, you do what you need to do to get them on board. But I mean, she also may be looking and going, every day is something different. So I don't need to react until I absolutely have to deal with them. And, we'll see what happens. And in 2 or 3 years' time, things could be totally different in America in either direction.
In 2 or 3 days' time.
Yes.
Let's be honest. That's the way it's going. And I think she's playing the long game.
Yeah, and is your impression of the IOC through successive presidents is that they don't make knee-jerk, quick decisions. They do only make decisions when they are really, really forced into it. And if they can try and palm that decision off on an international federation or instead, then that's what they would choose to do. So, as you say, maybe she just doesn't need to show her hand on the current president and LA 28 yet.
Exactly.
Before we wrap up, where are you guys going to be in Italy? And from our point of view, will LA be as good as John and I remembered it was in 1984 when we both got hooked on this great jamboree?
I think LA is going to be amazing. I just don't see them not coming through with just something really, really spectacular.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be a phenomenal games. It'll be with 5 new sports, maybe a little chaotic, but they know how to do it. I think the confidence, hopefully not arrogance, that they were the games that turned it around the first time, they can do that. And not that the movement needs turning around, but they know how to make a buck. And they're really showing that already with getting naming rights to stadiums and pushing that boundary a little bit more. So I just think that they're going to make a great game. It's going to be really fun to be there, I think. So and of course I'm biased because I live here, and it's going to be fun to have games where you don't have to try to scramble to learn the language, and the ins and outs. It's interesting to be in a place and learn another culture, but it's also from a work perspective nice to be able to go, oh, well, I know what the government type stuff is, so I know where to look for different things or know how something is going to get set up versus having to try to work through whatever structures they have in different countries.
But for Milan, we are going to be based in Milan. We're hoping to get up to the mountains a little bit, like you mentioned earlier, kind of day tripping it to as much as we can. We're going to keep our fingers crossed on the trains and hope we get there and get back and see what we can bring everybody every day on the show. And that's going to be the adventure.
I'm looking forward to the overnight one when you're stuck in the middle of nowhere on a train.
Oh, and that's going to happen. That's going to
You
happen.
know it's going to happen.
Because there's going to be a future Jill who goes, I can do it. I can get to Anterselva and get to the biathlon venue. And this
so
Jill, President Jill, knows that it's not going to happen. But there's going to be a future Jill who's going to be on the side of the road waiting for Giuseppe to finish his break, going, I just missed biathlon, but I'll get to the venue.
And future Alison is not going to stop her because future Alison wants a good show. I'll tell you that right now.
Right. And then we'll be there for the Paralympics too. The Paralympics will be actually based in Venice.
And the serious question to finish: Are you really interested in Mariah Carey?
No.
I was a bit disappointed.
Me too.
Yeah, I get what they're doing. It's kind of grasping at straws. Celine Dion at least had a connection.
She spoke the language.
Yes, speaking the
everybody
language
went
and
nuts
being
when-
when and I don't know where you were, where I was on the opening ceremony. I mean, people across the river were going crazy because they were sitting at a cafe, and they just went nuts when Celine came on.
Yeah, I agree.
It was phenomenal. Like I don't know if Mariah Carey has that same kind of global appeal, and I'm looking forward to being surprised if she does.
In answer to the question, I don't know where you were. I think John was in McDonald's at that point because his commentary position for the opening ceremony was the start of the athletes' parade.
It was
at
a
the
cement works.
Oh, we were probably right next to each other because I was also at the start of the athletes' parade.
And I was at the end, desperately trying to stay on the radio to X million people or whatever listening back in the UK with tech that was dying left, right and centre due to the weather and the rain and everything else. Obviously, we couldn't have anything plugged in, so we were reliant on batteries, and we had a relay of people bringing their bits of kit that they now no longer needed because the ceremony had been in their area, and trying to get it to me for the end. I think we just about managed it. And Kelly Holmes, who was with us, Dame Kelly, double Olympic champion, absolutely adored Celine Dion. It was the highlight of the games, I think.
But we didn't know that 3 months before the games or 50 days before the games. So I'm hoping is going to be a bigger name than Mariah Carey. That's what I'm hoping for.
Well, 2006 it was Pavarotti. Sadly, no longer with us.
Right.
I went to Pavarotti's house on holiday in the summer, and there was quite a lot there about the Winter Games in 2006. So I think there'll be some opera.
Hope so. Where are you going to be based?
We're going to be in Milan. So we have the Anything But Footy apartment, which we are looking forward to staying in. And then John's going to ditch me in the middle of the games to go and stay in a more glamorous hotel location with his family for a few days. And then he'll come back a changed man, as he did in Paris.
I tell you, having the family visit was the best thing that ever happened in Paris. It gave me a second wind, if you pardon the expression.
Very nice. Thank you so much for coming back on the show. It's always fun to chat with you, and we really appreciate it. We're looking forward to meeting up in Milano.
Well, Alison and Jill, likewise, it's always good to get your perspective on things. We love listening to your podcast from across the pond, and we will see you in Cortina.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes, so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at Rubrik.com. That's RUBRIK.com.